show with great bass player Chadleigh, Mr. Africa Gowar. Chadleigh, can you tell us what your first musical experience was?
Man, yeah, about say 21, 22 years ago,
Mm,
I was born into a musical family,
mm,
by the way. But yeah, I was about around about 10, 11, and then I got exposed to music.
mm.
In our family, uncles were playing,
Yeah.
cousins could play. So that I think that was my first time, really getting exposed and to music as
Okay.
such.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell us why you chose the bass guitar? What stood out for you from the low end?
Daniel, I think the bass guitar chose me.
Don't lie, man.
There was a need for a bass guitarist.
Mm,
I knew from the start, get go.
mm.
My cousin could play drums, my uncle could play guitars, and so on. And so there wasn't a bass player, and that's why
Okay.
I would say the bass chose me because when I realized I actually started out Suma with the bass.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice, man. Nice. Can you tell us, do you have any musical education? Did you go for lessons? Are you self taught or are you still learning?
So this is a very, very, very funny story. Years ago, I started out with music lessons in Hanover Park, where I'm from.
Okay.
Um, Pastor Eisel, that time it was Brother Eisel, and he would offer music lessons at 10 rand per lesson. So it was 40 rand for the month every Saturday.
Okay.
And that time I was living with my grandma, and obviously just on a grant, pension, money, and whatever. And we couldn't even afford
Mm-mm.
paying that 40 rand. So that was a start to music lessons, and it was more to do with playing in church and so on, etc. Um,
Quirky vibe.
yeah, quirkies. And then as time went along, um, I'd like to go out and do my own research. So I started educating myself
Yeah.
with some basic theory. And then later on, when I started, when I saw I could do this as a serious musician or as a career, I got music lessons theory from a good friend Manuel Jardine in
Mm.
Makassar, and he was a teacher at Restoring the Sound Music School
Mm.
in Makassar. And yeah, he would give me books. Uh, um, he took me up until grade 3, I think.
Okay.
And, yeah, and he's not even a bass player, but yeah,
Mm.
I'm very grateful to him for introducing me to that.
Okay.
Oh, so that's my little bit of music education. I mean, later on, I did some other stuff as well, and I've
Mm.
got good friends in the industry that showed me also
Mm.
some stuff.
Okay, nice, man. Interesting. Listen, Chad, can you tell me about the albums and the artists that you've worked for? You've recently won an award. I don't know if it's the best bass player in the country, in the world, but you won an award. Can you tell us about that? And also, you're currently with Quirkies with Jonathan Rubin. Can you tell us
Yes.
how that came to be and how
Mm,
you got the award and also of the other artists that you've worked with and the albums that you worked on?
cool. I'm a firm believer of preparation.
Mm,
You might not understand the plan of God
mm,
um, at first, but let's start with the quirkies thing. I've been like I told you, I've started out in church with quirkies and things like that, and I've played quirkies in different with different people, different bands, different groups, and everyone does it differently.
yeah.
But my story is that I've been exposed to a variety of gospel music and court music because everyone doesn't
Yeah.
do it the same over the years, and I never knew that 20 years was my preparation for actually being on TV today,
Yeah.
and doing it nationally.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, that was my prep, that was my school, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. It came very simple. I was booked for a CD recording, Science One CEO and a CD recording. Later on, after that project, we were booked for a tour, a gig, and we went to Namibia as well. And then we were booked for Punkster in Grand West,
Mm.
and I think they were so happy with the band, they just kept the band the
Mm.
same, and then I ended up, on the TV gig.
Wow, nice man,
So
nice.
yeah, that was the TV gig. The award, once again, it came at a very very strange time. And the irony of the matter is, I didn't wanted to do that gig.
Mm.
Up until that very same day when we recorded the gig, because it was online, um, I told the band, I'm not going to do it.
Mm.
And they said, no, man, let's do it. Half of us is here already because they played with other bands. So just two of my other guys needed to come in.
Yeah.
And I had a Quirkies rehearsal that day, and I asked the music director, Daniel Titus, if I can leave early. So I left, we recorded, and we left, yeah. But it was deep into COVID.
Mm.
We as musicians, we were depressed.
Yeah, yeah.
We were, yeah, there was no inspiration
Mm.
to do anything good, whatever. It's just a very bad time. And then I played my original music. I remember at one point in that show, it was such a beautiful moment. I almost cried
Mm.
because I played a song, India Kukumbula,
Mm.
which means I miss you. And that was my granny. I miss her every day.
Mm.
So yeah, I played that song and it literally brought me to tears. We went home, people watched the show, and I must know also, the show it did well,
Mm.
but it could have done better.
Mm.
And then voila, a few people, and I didn't know there's gonna be a panel reviewing the
Yeah, yeah,
show
yeah.
and whatever. And then they saw the show, they were very impressed, and we recorded Quirkies on that Saturday. My phone was off. Stop at the garage to fill up with petrol. Put my phone on. Lots of people are looking for me.
Okay.
Explaining now, I'm lost because they are just explaining. Do you know what this means? It's big, Dad. This is a big award. En ik weet niet of ik de award geweest niet. And then when I got home, my wife told me she saw on Facebook what it is, and yeah, that's the
Mm.
award that I won. And when I researched, I spent that I most probably didn't sleep that Saturday night. I googled and tried to find out what's it about, and it basically means it's recognizing the excellence
Mm.
of what we've done. It's crossing boundaries and things like that.
Mm.
So that to me is, especially in the COVID time,
Yeah.
in a time where we weren't doing well, God still made it possible for me to
Wow,
experience
wow.
that, and sort of um, acknowledging the fact that you've come a long way,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is one of those rewards that you get,
Wow.
for putting in the work and that preparation that I've
Wow.
spoken about. Yeah.
Tell me, let's go back years ago to Misani.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Tumisanis was probably my first love.
Mm.
I still play with him
Mm.
when I have the opportunity, and I love playing with Pastor Kevin and Tumisani. I love playing on their records. Um, yeah, so it's been 15 plus years
Wow.
that I've been with them. I've played the 10-year anniversary and the 20th anniversary,
Mm.
so you can do the math.
Almost
Yeah.
50.
Yes. So yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. I've been experiencing a lot, and I learned. Pastor Kevin is one of my mentors.
Mm.
Whenever I'm lost, whenever I need some advice, he's my first call. I go to his house. We drink that long cups of coffee, that
Mm.
nice cup that
Mm-mm.
you saw this morning.
If anyone wants coffee, come to Chad's house. He's got the most beautiful cups.
Yeah, so but just the tall one like that, he gives me that. His wife make that nice cappuccino. But I totally love the experience with Tumisani. It's amazing. I mean, I would always say what I learned there and what I can take away is I learned about the identity.
Yeah.
You know, P- proudly being you.
Mm.
You know, so that's Tumisani for me. But I mean, I wish I can play with Tumisani still for the rest of my life.
Wow. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, and then there's great albums that I've been fortunate to record. Obviously, with Tumisane, I've recorded over the years. I think I record on volume 5 and volume 9. So that time they were still doing the volumes.
Mm.
And then a lot of DVDs, got live concerts, but specifically the volume 7 DVD at Joseph Stone.
Mm.
I think that was the big one for me. Still up. Ek het so lekker kort vyde bleskop, but I still wear earrings that time.
Je reed nog even los nie.
um, yeah, that was Domisani. And then later on now, in the recent years, went back, recorded another 3 albums. So I featured Domisani as a sideman, but
Mm.
also recorded some songs where I'm leading,
Okay.
recorded as an artist.
Mm.
I
With
think
the Misani on your own projects?
no, with Dumisani. So
Okay.
I play like instrumental songs on the albums as well. Um, there's the one song that I love. It's "The Messiah is the King of Kings."
Mm.
I play that on the is it the latest album? Yeah, but it's one of the latest. But it's the last song on the album. It's
Mm.
such a beautiful
So you
Kuma
played with this bass?
Kuma feel. I play with my P5 Plus
Okay.
on that album. Yeah, the P5 Plus. Why I remember because he saved Pastor Given saved my settings. So when I did a session the other day, so he asked me, "Do you know a different bass?" So ik nee, my pastor had all these settings out because I recorded with this bass also
Okay.
a couple of other stuff. And then obviously one of the great projects that I did was with Ramon Alexander,
Mm.
his second album, Echoes. Yeah, beautiful. We worked on that album for around about 4 to 5 years,
Wow.
just learning the music, playing the music enough, and that's something I learned from him is learn the music, but play it enough to understand it properly to record it.
Mm.
Because now you give the people like a product, and to some people would be, mas muziek wat hulle nou gaan
Mm.
record. No, now you give them the best recording ever because you know the music so well, and that was a game changer for me because
Mm.
it's such great compositions so well, but it's still for the heart.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, people can feel the music. It's jazz, and sometimes people regard jazz as being too it's over the heads, whatever.
Mm.
This type of jazz is truly something that you can listen to and make you feel really good, whatever.
Mm.
And he also pays tribute to like Winston Mankunku
Wow.
and so on. Yeah, yes, that's such a beautiful album. And then obviously there's some other projects. In Joburg I recorded 2 projects. One was with Tobogalo, that was on Idols. I
Mm.
think top 3. I
Okay.
recorded this album at um, what's the studio called? But it's by Lira, her studio. Such beautiful producers that work on that album. A really cool sound, the modern sound,
Mm.
that radio commercial sound, I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say.
yeah.
I was listening to the album on iTunes the other day, and it's beautiful. I've recorded a Eastern type of Indian type album with Kani Naidu. He was initially from Cape Town, then he moved up to Joburg, and that was an experience as well
Mm.
because the music is also very, very nice, very beautiful, but also you need to understand it.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer when you do something, go in, listen to enough of that type of style,
Yeah.
and then you understand it and you can play it better. And then obviously the big Sion van Sion album, I think that to me was sort of hoe sê mense samevatting
Mm.
van
Amalgamation.
ja,
Big word, a big
hy
word.
die woord
Only on from the Cape with base amalgamation.
um, van al my experiences, sal ek sê, and then finally getting to a place where you can express who you are. So it kan baie confusing klink, but me being Mr. Africa,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that love for African music that I have, the music that I grew up with,
Yeah.
um, with all of that elements of jazz,
Mm.
of pop music, whatever, approaching this album in that way, and playing with the musicians that I've played on that album, and that's what I experience even now playing Quirkies because it's the same band.
Yeah.
We get to go because some of them check out American music, some of
Mm.
them check out rock and fusion, whatever,
Mm.
and so we get to experience all that things together.
Mm.
And for me, that is great. So that's what happened with the Sanford Series. And there's a lot of singles that I've done, a lot of EPs with people. Sure, ah, it's too much to mention, but a lot of great recordings that I've done over that
Okay.
built my that I've learned so much from
Mm.
the music, especially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your first EP.
Mr. Africa.
Yeah. Tell us
So
about that.
that
I have a copy and it's signed.
so that's actually where the Mr. Africa name comes from. Um, it's Mr. Africa is a guy in Hanover Park
Mm.
um, that always used to come to. There was this tin campaign that they always asked me to come and play, and then you would see Mr. Africa there. And one day I had a gig at Waterfront, and he was there. And he's an old guy, and but the feeling that I got from whenever he speaks to me, it's like I'm the greatest thing that
Mm.
just happened. And I wrote the song Mr. Africa with that in mind. You know, I dedicated to him, but it's just to bring that positivity, that making someone feel good about themselves, and also with Mandela and Madiba in mind.
Mm.
Madiba. um, what is done for our country.
Mm.
What so it's just bringing positivity back. So I released that in 2012,
Mm.
and believe it or not, I've been busy with the new album. It's recorded, it's mixed and mastered. I must just release it
Mm.
for the last 3 to 4 years already.
Sure.
But it's that thing of you listening to the music, and I know at the right time. I mean, I've released a couple of songs um, of it already, but in the right time, I'll release the full album, and I can feel it's coming closer
Mm.
because I think our people. The album is called "The Love I Know,"
Okay.
and it's basically on this journey that I've been, my life. I'm celebrating the love of my life, my wife.
Mm.
I'm celebrating how I grew up. You know, the love for my people, my family, my friends, um, the greatest love of all, obviously God that I
Mm.
believe in, and I came to a revelation of what love is,
Mm.
you know, and it's God, and I, no matter how saved or unsaved you are, it doesn't like the scripture says, nothing will separate us from the love
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
God, and as a young person growing up, I think there comes time where you fail.
Yeah.
Wat die van die pad afgaan, but I think the love of God is there for us all, and it will never change. So that's where the title comes from, and all the music is from that point of view.
Okay.
Um, the love I know. So, and the love that I came to understand and experience,
Mm.
first-hand experience. So yeah, that album, you can look out for that. It's coming soon. Great musicians.
Mm.
I've got Frank Peckel
Mm.
on the drums on one song. Got Jason Ward, my longtime friend. Um, I've got Ricardo van der Horst, he's also playing drums. I've got keyboard players. Even Ramon plays, strange enough, synthesizers on one song. Um, Guitars, Dustin. I've got another bass player even on the album. So yeah, it's a beautiful album. It must just come out,
Mm.
but like I say, on the right time,
Mm.
and it's getting closer.
Can't wait to hear the album, Chad.
Thanks, man. It's gonna be a great
So
album.
people wanna get any of your music, must they follow you on
Yeah, all the socials. I'll most probably put it online as well
mm.
because it's accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, um, I'd advise people also to support local.
Yeah.
Um, go to them, the artists especially. asked them if they have albums, hard copies, because that's how they make money,
Mm.
and they can make a living out of it. Online, I mean, let's be quite frank about it. It's accessible to the world, but you don't see the money as yet.
Mm.
Um, I know of a couple of friends that we had this debate and conversations. It's very nice to have him. I'd say it's a sort of a business card
Mm.
to have your music out there, and you can send people, direct them to, if you want to hear more of Chad, go to iTunes, go
Mm.
to Apple Music and things like that. But financially it wouldn't benefit you in any way because people don't buy, they stream,
Mm.
and streaming is very little income,
Mm.
you know. I mean, it's a nice platform, but not, yeah, very, what's the word that I'm
Lucrative.
looking, lucrative, yeah. Diep woorde. From the Cape Wood base, diep Engelse woorde.
Yeah, nee.
Yeah, so that's it.
Okay.
People can get me everywhere. I sometimes leave my even my cell phone number online
Mm.
because I teach as well.
Mm. Can you tell us about your gear? This guitar, particularly, I know there's a story behind this guitar. I want the viewers to hear the story, like an audible version of the story behind the guitar. How you got this guitar? I believe this
Yeah,
is your first guitar.
yeah, yeah,
So tell us
yeah.
that story, please, and of the other gear that you have.
Cool. So for years I played. I didn't have my own
Mm.
bass. We would play sanganda,
Mm.
concerts, church services, and then that typical story of you see the previous band before you play, and then you ask the bass player, "Can I use your bass, please?"
Mm.
and things like that. So in church there was this piano player, Shane, a Webster. I'm still forever grateful for what he's done. One Saturday he just said, "No, we should go buy the church a bass."
Mm.
Um, we drove up and down Voortrekker, Paul partner. We were as far as Maitland, up,
Mm.
down, Voortrekker, and so on.
So
But we,
this was the church in an Park where you both were at.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
PPK. And then we ended up at in one city, Paul partners, yeah. And then we saw the space. And he said, Chad, what do you think? Do you like it? Yeah, it can work for the church. No, let's place whatever. And then the Sunday. No, no, we played the Sunday still the next week. But it was his place still. Let's not create
Mm.
confusion. But it was to be used in church. But it
Mm.
was his place. He bought it for that because there was. I would play if I play concerts. You know, there's another band that has a
Yeah,
bass.
yeah, yeah.
But when I come to church, there's no other bass player that I can ask for a
Yeah,
bass.
yeah. So there was no bass in church
There
at the
was
time.
no
Okay.
bass in church, and then he okay, I used it the first Sunday. Church was blessed, you know. New bass, and everyone's excited. The next week he calls me. He says, "Dad, I've spoken to my wife. Um, we want you to have the bass."
Oh.
Yes, it's waar. Gaan ik geld krijgen? Where I'm gonna get the money? And he said, "It's fine. Whatever you can afford, pay me off."
Mm.
And at that time, I was working at a place in Maitland, and I can proudly and boldly say, because I believe God blessed my weekly salary, that I got my wages,
Mm.
I earned about, say, between 500 and 600 rand a week.
Mm.
And I gave my grandma money. We were blessed with that little money. If I look at it, I mean, that's money you spend in a day in
Mm.
these times. But we would have enough money. I could pay him 200 rand, maybe, whatever, and then there's still money left for my grandma, traveling fees, and all
Mm.
that stuff. So yeah, eventually, and then after a while, I still went with the last money to him, and he asked me, "Is any klaar betaling?" And I know I didn't pay him finish.
Mm.
Um, Most probably half I paid of whatever I owed him. And yeah, that's how I got the bass, and I still have this bass. I believe my son must play this bass one
Mm.
day, and yeah, it's just gonna be a beautiful piece in my house on the
Mm.
wall one day. And it's got a good story because growing up, in a time where especially with me, I lived with my grandma. Um, Father was non-existent.
Mm.
He wasn't present. Ons het maar swaar gekry.
Yeah, yeah.
And I worked for this thing,
Mm.
like I just explained. You paid very little money, but through that I could still afford to give him, pay him off and whatever. So it's a great achievement for me. And I was very young at the time
Mm.
when I achieved this. So and it was my first job, and whatever. So yeah, that's the story of the base, and we come a long way. This base
Mm.
is 12 years old.
Wow, wow. So, Chad, I was at Sammy Weber's a few weeks ago.
Okay.
I believe he also blessed you with a bass.
Yeah.
Tell me that story.
Yes. Yes. You evoking some emotions now. um. So few years ago, they stole my bass, my Chord A6.
Mm.
So I play Chord exclusively.
Yeah.
Um, very proud of the brand because, yeah, over the years it brought out some great affordable basses.
Mm.
Um, so they stole my bass out of the car. We were in church. Somehow they got into the car, took my bass. Long story short. And then one night, Sammy Weber, he summons me. Now you know if Sammy Weber summons you, you must go.
Mm.
And it was late. It was about 8 o'clock. And my wife knows I'm not somebody that leaves the house that time of the night. Went to Sammy Weber. It made it sound very serious, yeah. Chad, you need to come see me as soon as possible. So I went there. He made his wife made me a cup of coffee. And I thought to myself, it's him in a minute, not coming over a cup of coffee. Yes, yes. Anyway, except my Novana Sammy Weber is also one of my mentors. Um, and then he comes out with this guitar bag. Chad, it's a geschenk for you. It's empty. Um, Gee bass bag, which I'm very grateful for because I'm a person, I just buy any bag. Ik ga
Mm.
nog worry hoe dik is die padding,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
I've got a new bag. I ga dus as if weer break, then I buy a new one. And then he gives me the bag. But I also thought to myself, I'm very grateful. But yes, I could have come fetch this tomorrow morning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not on, now it's 10 already. It's 10 o'clock already.
Hoeveel
So
kopje
it's just,
koffie is het?
that's, it's a groot mug. Zijn groot mugs. And chat to you about that. So, and always, Sammy always expresses his proudness,
Mm.
of what I do, what I achieve, and so on. And then he said, want jy kan ook mos nou nie met 'n leë bysak huis toe gaan nie. And he sends his wife, Scotty, he calls her Scotty. Scotty, bring gou daai dingetje daar so. And out she comes with the bass. And I say, yeah, um, you, and last night we joke about that because he said his exact words were, you you make this bass sound better or something like that. Yeah, that was his exact words. You make this bass sound better than what I would. And he knows I love chord and whatever.
Mm.
And it's such a beautiful story. So obviously now, from the time they stole my bass up until this time, when he gave me the bass, I had to, obviously I'm a songwriter, I compose and whatever. I had to do it on my fasting, which is not a problem, but sometimes improvising, or when you want to play certain melodies, whatever, you need that top
Yeah, yeah.
C string. And I had to do it on this bass, on my other B5 plus chord that I have. And but it was just something else when he gave me that bass because it also showed me that the process of I could have said, okay, I'm done with music because whatever reason they stole my pace.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? I mean, I've been only doing good in my life. Why is something bad happening to such a good person?
Mm.
That playing the victim type of story.
Mm.
Or I could have just said no. I'm gonna leave a solo career. It's not worth pursuing. I don't have the right tools and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that. But I kept on going. And I mean, that bass, I know the value of that bass. Someone giving you a bass that, it's expensive, and
Mm.
especially in these times
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we're living in, it's so that I'll, yeah, no, I'll always remember that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very, very beautiful stories there, man. Chad, do you have any advice for young up and coming bass players and musicians out there, please?
Uh, I'm a I'm a firm believer that you and I think this is where some users get it wrong. I might be wrong, but this is just my view. Um, I believe that we all should realize that we are human
Mm.
first.
Mm.
Um, I don't like the saying that people would say, "Oh, he's a humble musician."
Mm.
You are a humble human being,
Mm.
a humble person, and I think that changes everything
Mm.
because that if you are a humble person, you would be humble at home, humble at your work,
Yeah, yeah.
humble when you play, whatever. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense if you just a humble or act humble as a
Yeah, yeah.
musician, but you're not your prideful person out
It makes a
there.
lot of sense. It makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense.
you understand. So that would be my first piece of advice. We are all human. Treat your next person as a human being. Like,
Mm.
I mean, before off camera,
Mm.
we were talking about a lot of stuff,
Mm. Mm.
you know. Um, some users, they can't have a conversation.
Mm.
It's, our first thing is, ja, het moet vir my leer daai en whatever.
Mm.
Or you can't talk, jy weet net nie hoe om 'n mens te wees nie. And
Mm.
I feel we should start there. Also, try to be a better you,
Mm.
not better than the next person.
Mm.
um, because a better you would challenge yourself to just always be better. You would acknowledge someone else that's doing better than you,
Yeah.
and that will encourage you to do better yourself, but not to be better than. Ek wil nie beter as jou wees,
Mm.
I I told you this morning, I love what you do with these videos,
Mm.
That inspires me to do even better as a bass player because now my story of the bass gets told by you that's doing this beautiful work,
Yeah, yeah.
understand? So that's, I mean, by losing that human factor or dan verloren ons.
Mm.
But if we get that back into our industry, we'll have a much better industry.
Mm.
Not just in music, I think in the world in general.
Mm.
We should all become better people and strive to become better people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, Chad, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making time for me and for From the Crippled Base. Godspeed on your journey, man.
Thank you so
All
much.
good.